you so much. And for the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, it's a pleasure to have been one of the first co-signatories and supporters of the Rome Call for AI ethics in February 2020, together with IBM, Microsoft, and the Pontifical Academy for Life. We would like to congratulate the commitment and multi-religious support for this important common cause of moving forward. FAO is fully committed to achieve SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and to use all the technologies that we have in hand to be able to achieve this. So colleagues, it's really important to understand the times that we are living today. We have 828 million people chronically undernourished, 3.1 billion people that don't have access to healthy diets. That means they will be undernourished or overnourished. We are facing challenges because of the war in Ukraine, which has also exacerbated the situation. Just in the period of COVID-19, in the last 2 years, chronic undernourishment increased 150 million more people. So that's the world we are facing. That's the world we as FAO has to find ways to achieve a solution. And clearly, AI is one of the technologies that can help us to do that. There is a way we can use these technologies to accelerate the process and to improve the way we produce and to improve the way we consume the food that we have available. The challenges we have in the world today is not of availability of food. We have enough cereals in the world. We don't have enough healthy diets in the world, so other types of commodities that will allow us to achieve healthy diets. But cereals we have. But we are very vulnerable because most of the food is exported by 5 countries. That's why what happened in 2007, 2008, the food crisis, was weather, one country affected, immediately prices skyrocketed. Today, in a very different situation, an extremely sad situation, one of our key exporting countries, too, Ukraine and Russia Federation, went into a war. And that immediately exacerbated the situation of what we are facing. Now, what this means, it means consumers, especially of the most vulnerable countries. Just to give you an idea, the 62 most vulnerable countries have increased their food import bill in significant amount, $26 billion. These people cannot buy what they used to buy. Farmers are paying 6 months ago 3 times more for the fertilizers they use. Now we're a little bit better, 1.5 times more. So those are the challenges we are facing. So anything we can do with technology to help those farmers to be able to have access to information, to have access to use properly the resources they need. 50% of the fertilizers are wasted today because farmers don't have updated soil maps. And you have all the technologies to deploy that. Both companies here can provide everything that we need to supply as a public good to farmers through digital phones, information of what is the blending they need to be able to use more efficiently the little fertilizer they need, which today they are not. So we're making them to expend money in packages that are not giving them what they're supposed to get because they're not using the proper combination of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And AI can help because there is so much information there that will help us to facilitate the process. But we have to do this with a do not harm principle and also not leaving anyone behind. Digital technologies has accelerated enormously in the last years, especially with COVID-19, the amazing acceleration of e-commerce and digitalization in whatever country we go, no matter how rich or poor it is. Even in poorer countries, you see more e-commerce than in richer countries. It's amazing. Because of the informal sector, of course. You have tons of people delivering everywhere informally, which you cannot have in formal economies, which is more costly. But the base of that is having digital access. If you don't have digital access, you're excluding. If we don't provide to the poorest economies access to those technologies on an equal basis, they won't profit from this. And they will have in an unequal base, and therefore we will increase in inequality. What happened in COVID-19 has been a substantial increase in inequalities in the world. Substantial. Not only poverty has risen substantially, hunger has risen, but also inequality. And technology is behind of the exacerbation of inequality. So for us and for FAO, we have to look at it in a very pragmatic matter. We don't have time to waste. The numbers that we are facing are dramatic. The resources that we need to resolve those problems are increasing every day. You have a World Food Program that every day is asking for more resources because more countries are in food crisis. So how much we can bring all the efforts of the technological progress today to be able to create the change and the difference we need is crucial important. And that's why for us, this agreement and this call for AI ethics is essential, because part of the ethical component is the right to food, the right to access to this type of technologies for the most vulnerable countries. Artificial intelligence is already contributing in many ways in the activities we do. It helps us to work in more sustainable farming, because the challenges are not only more hunger, more undernourishment, but it's also that our soils, our water is scarce, and we are facing significant challenges of sustainability that will hit us harder later. It helps us to reduce the environmental impact. It has helped us to monitor pests and diseases, which climate change will transform the way pests and diseases happen. And the only way we can insure, and we can have reinsurance companies interested, if we are able to estimate what we call the loss function, how much loss that potential shock will have, and have predictive power. And that's where AI can help us. Now, we are running a little experiment in FAO. I have 15 early warning systems in FAO, 15. That goes from extreme temperatures to pests and diseases, to water availability, and so on and so forth. All of these systems were run by one person for the last 20 years. All of them are getting close to retirement. And you cannot imagine the amount of criteria they have in their head of what they were making in this decision process, in this reporting every month of what these early warning systems were doing. Now, with AI, we can do a lot. We can systematize a lot, but they bring also the intelligence, that's the human being component. And we can systematize their human being component and their intelligence to be able to assess where we are and especially what we are doing. That tool could help us to have more predictive power. And having more predictive power in my 15 early warning systems means that I can prepare my farmers for the job, means that I can predict the loss function, for example, of locusts, which affected African countries 1 year ago. Today, I can have 6 months of predictive power. Insurance companies will jump into it, and therefore, I will have resolved one problem and make my most vulnerable farmers more resilient. So the power and the potential is enormous, but the risk of letting the poorest behind is also extremely big. And that's what we need to avoid. And that's where we believe that this type of arrangement and this type of commitment with the private sector, with the religious groups, and with governments will be crucial to be able to move forward. And FAO is acting in 3 ways. One, we are creating the International Platform for Digital Food and Agriculture that is trying to bring the best practices to minimize those risks. And this is where what we are doing here is part of, and we have governments involved that will help us to scale up and to expand what we are doing in this initiative. The second element is we are raising awareness and cooperating with Broadband Commission, the UN agencies, academia, the private sector, and civil society to concretely contribute to the implementation of the UN Secretary General Roadmap of Digital Cooperation, including the AI for Ethics. FAO is also becoming part of the Global Alliance of Public Goods, because for us, the goal is to create public goods to equalize the ones that have less access with the ones that have more access. And finally, we are implementing solutions. And we are using AI to implement solutions to manage water, to manage pests and diseases, to have these early warning systems in place. So, ladies and gentlemen, AI for good should power universal access to digital value-added services, accelerate the 2030 SDGs agenda, and augment human capabilities to leave no one behind. For the agri-food system transformation that we need to be inclusive, transparent, and sustainable for all, AI systems should help create digital capabilities for women, youth in rural areas, distribute digital dividends, and facilitate employment opportunities. FAO believes strongly in taking transformative opportunities that AI offers while remaining true to the do not harm principles, ensuring we don't leave anyone behind. FAO is looking forward to continuing our collaboration in this area to contribute to achieving zero hunger and leaving no one behind in the digital age. Thank you so much.